Don't you wish that somebody would give you a list or a recipe or a formula for writing success? When I was a new writer, I used to think that if somebody would just tell me what to do, I would do it, and then I would become an instant best-selling author. Well, it is, and it isn't that easy. So there is a formula, but it doesn't guarantee writing success. However, if you follow the formula, what it will do is set you up to achieve your goals. And in our case, what that is to write. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is how to achieve writing success by following the formula.
You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world.
Welcome to the Julia Amante channel. If we're just meeting, I am Julia Amante. I'm a women's fiction author, and here on Fridays to give you a few tips on how to write your book, how to get your mindset in the right place so that you can write your book and to be a success as a writer. So first of all, I'd like to take a little tiny step back and say that you need to define for you what success is, of course. So I have no idea what you're defining as a success. I can only tell you, for example, what it means to me. So at one point, being successful meant being able to actually finish a book. And then it was to be able to publish, to get a publisher interested in what I was writing. And now it's slightly different. Now I would really love to see my next book skyrocket into some kind of massive success. Not so much because I want to be something like at the beginning, right? I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a published writer. Now what I want, the reason I want this is because I love the book that I'm writing so much that I want this book in particular to do spectacularly well. So that to me would be successful if this book actually was the book that was a bestseller, right? So even though I would have loved all my books to do that, this book in particular, I want to see that happen. And I would consider that success. Okay, the first step in this formula is to really know your end goal. What is it that you want? So if you didn't do what I just mentioned, which is define what success means to you, stop and do that. So do that, or do that immediately after this video. What is it that you want? Because if you don't know what you want, you don't know what your end goal is, then how are you going to achieve it? How are you going to know if you have achieved it already? So you need to know that before you move on. So do you want to finish writing a book? Do you want to publish a book? Is it a hobby? Is it a career goal? What is this? Why are you writing? And so once you establish that, it's going to be a lot easier, because then you're going to be able to visualize it, right? To be able to say, okay, this is what I want. Be able to take small steps to get there. But if you don't even know where you're going, then it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to be able to achieve that goal. People tell me all the time that they would like to write a book, and I believe them. I believe that they would really do want to write a book. But if it's not a clear goal, if it's not a plan, then it's just a wish at this point, right? So if they haven't actually said, this is definitely what my goal, I want to have a book written by the end of next year, then that is a clear goal. That is something that they have a desire to do, and they probably will. However, if there's just like, yeah, I'm really interested and I'd really like to write a book, that probably isn't going to happen, because it's not something that they have an end goal in mind. It's just something that sounds nice. So once you have that end goal, now what do you need to do? So now you can start to break it down and sort of reverse engineer your goal, right? So let's say you want to definitely have a book published by the end of next year. Then what are those incremental small steps that you can take every month, every week, every day in order to get you to that ultimate goal of having that book written by the end of the year? And taking those little action steps is what is going to change it from being, just a wish or a desire to something that can actually happen, where you have that book finished. And it's a good idea to look a little bit further into the future, right? So what do you want? What is your writing career going to look like in 3 years, or in 5 years, or in 10 years? And if you wanted to have 5 books written by in 10 years, then you know that you need to have at least 2.5 books written by 5 years, right? And you need to keep breaking that down so that you know exactly what it is that you're doing today. What are you doing today to get to those 5 books at the end of the 10 years? And it starts, I guess, with that first book, right? You have to start with the first book in order to get to the 5 books. So you don't want to get stuck in the overwhelm. You want to have that sort of long-term goal out there, but then you want to focus on just that one book. What is it you're going to do, and what can you do again every day? Do you need to, how big is this book going to be? Is it going to be 300 pages? Well, then how many pages should you be completing every week, for example? And how can you do that? How could you schedule that in there? So the way that we are able to accomplish that is that we just break it down so it doesn't become overwhelming into these smaller steps that we can do every day. The second step in the formula for writing success is to think about where your strength lies. What are you really good at as far as writing? And work on that. So are you humorous? Are you funny? Can you create books that make people laugh? Or are you really great at developing suspenseful novels? Or are you wonderful at developing a relationship so it sounds believable? Where is your strength? And focus on that. So we always want to improve and have all our writing skills get stronger, but really capitalize on your strength, because that is what is going to make you different from other writers, and that is what you're going to enjoy. That's what people are going to notice when they read your writing. And that's what you want to focus on, is what am I really good at, and how can I even get better at it so that it becomes something I'm known for and something that that I can just do easily. So be you. Don't try to write like someone else. Don't try to say, oh, I really love, because that's what we do, right? We read books and we're like, I really love the way this author does this. I wish I could do that. I wish I could write like that. But that's that author's strength. What is your strength? And really focus on that. Focus on building that strength so that your people will say that about you. I really love how humorous this person is, because that's your strength. Okay, the next step is to connect with your inner ambition. So what do I mean by that? Well, I've mentioned before, you don't want to be competitive with other authors. You don't want to compare yourself to other authors. But you do want to be competitive with yourself. So you want to be better than you were last week and last month and your last book. So you want to continually be improving. So you want to have that inner ambition inside that says, I want to do better. I want to improve. I want each piece of writing to be better than the last one. And if you can do that, if you can have this ambition, we tend to have like this sort of negative, view of ambition, but it just means that you want to do better, that you want to do better than you did before, right? So, and it's human nature. It's not like we can fight it and say, well, I'm not going to be ambitious, because it's natural. I mean, we want to do that. Otherwise, nobody would walk. Nobody would do certain things. We constantly want to improve. We want to get better so that we can move forward, right? So very literally, we want to learn how to walk so we can move, so we can get up, and we want to learn how to write better so we can move forward in our career. So it's nothing strange. We want to have that internal ambition that tells us, yeah, the last book was good, but I think I can do a little better. I think I can be a little bit more interesting. Or we talked about, you're capitalizing on last book was funny, but I think I can do even better than my next book. So capitalize on what's good, and then think about, how can I continually improve so that my next book is better? And people do this all the time, okay? So, and we admire this. We like athletes that are amazing, right? We like actors. We like great acting. Why? Because we appreciate that somebody is doing something really well. And so it's, again, very natural. We want to do that with ourselves. We want to have that inner ambition that helps us to improve and do better each time. Okay, the next thing is effort. Now, remember that effort isn't everything, but it matters. Okay, so as a college instructor, I sometimes feel bad because a student might not get the grade that they want on a writing assignment. And they'll, I've had a few students say, well, I tried really hard. I put a lot of effort into this. And quite possibly, right? They probably did. And I have to, sadly, like I said, say, well, I know that you did, but I'm not grading you on the effort, right? I'm grading you on the product. And same for us, right? So as writers, when we can put a lot of effort into writing a great novel, but it is that's not what we're going to be ultimately judged on, right? It's whether that novel was interesting, whether that novel was something that readers wanted to read. So even for us, so forget college, right? We are judged on not on our effort, but we are judged on that ultimate goal, that ultimate product. However, effort does matter, because if you don't put in the effort, you won't improve and you won't get better. So even that student who doesn't get an A and put in a lot of effort learned a lot from putting that effort into their essay, right? So they did get better, even though it wasn't maybe as good enough to get an A, right? Because we have these ideas, in college that everybody has to get an A, or that everybody wants to get an A, and of course, right? Because it matters for your GPA, but and we all want to have the most amazing books as writers, but the effort is not wasted, I guess is what I'm saying. Put in the effort, even if you don't sell your book, even if no publisher wants it, even if whatever, right? Doesn't sell a million copies. Put the effort in, because what you're doing is you're improving each time that you do that. You're putting all of yourself in there, everything that you have now, and then you'll learn more, and then the next book will be better. You'll put in all your effort again, and it'll get better and better and better. The next tip for this formula for writing success is to write better than you ever have before. And you may be thinking, no kidding. Of course, I'm going to try to write better than I have before. But consciously write better than you ever have before. So every time I write a book, it's like, okay, I want deeper characterizations. I want to improve my vocabulary. I want to have deeper, richer descriptions. I want to, every single time, I consciously look at where do I want to be better than I was before, so that I'm constantly improving on my previous book. I want my next book to be stronger. I want my next book to move my career forward and to make me a stronger writer. So each time I want to get better and better, and I want to write a better book. I want to have a better product. Not only do I want to improve my skills to become a better writer, but I want that book to be better than the previous book, which is hard when you think about it, right? Because I right now I think I'm writing the best book possible, and I am. I'm writing the best book possible for me right now. So hopefully the next time that I write one, I can write a better book than I'm writing right now. And that is always my goal. And that should be your goal, that you're writing better for your next one. If you are a blogger, let's say, and you wrote a great blog, the next blog should be better than the one you just wrote. It should be more impressive than the one you just wrote. And now, does that mean your goal should be like to be the best, I'm going to write the best novel that has ever been written? Probably not. That's not going to be your goal, because there's always going to be somebody that's, or maybe like for one month, 1 week, it might be the best book ever written, right? But then what happens a week from now, or 2 weeks from now, or a year from now? There's another book that does better than yours. So that's not my goal, and that shouldn't be your goal. There's always going to be a faster runner, right? Or somebody better. So that shouldn't be, but it should be better than you. You want to write a better book than you did the last time. And the last step for this formula is to write something that makes a difference. And that may seem like a really odd point, because not every book has to change the world, right? But we want to touch people's hearts and minds, and that is why we write. We want to make a difference in that person's life. A while ago, I read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, I think it's called. And I was in an Airbnb, and I started reading it, and then I didn't get a chance to finish it because we had to leave the Airbnb, and obviously the book had to stay there. And I thought, okay, I'm going to buy this book, and I'm going to keep reading it. And I haven't done it yet. But the whole gist of this book, right, is to understand why you're doing something. And if you can understand why you're doing something, then you will be able to do better, and you'll be able to achieve your goals, because you understand the reason behind it. And I think the reason that most of us write is because because we do want to make some kind of difference. We want to touch somebody's heart. We want to make them think a little differently. We want to let them imagine a different possibility. That's why we write, right? We that's the why. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why is it that you're writing? But I think if you dig deep enough, it is because you want to make a difference with your stories. And you want you want to touch other people with these stories. And that's why you write. You want to write something that matters. You want to write something that makes a difference. And I think that if you approach each of your stories that way, that you want to write something that makes a difference, then naturally I think your stories are going to get better. They're going to be better. Your readers are going to think that your stories are better, right? They're valuable, that they're interesting, because that intention behind it is that you really wanted it to touch them in some way or make a difference in their life. So does this formula work? And yeah, it really does work. So is there a little bit of luck, let's say, in somebody being able to write a book that makes a huge difference or becomes a bestseller? Sure, there is some luck in this, but I don't want to talk about luck because you have no control over luck. You might have like the perfect story for the perfect time. The timing may be perfect. There may be something happening in the world that makes your book stand out. And we have no control over that. But what we do have control over is following these steps in the formula so that when an opportunity comes your way, or when the times change or something happens, you're ready because you have done all this stuff. You've worked on yourself. You've made yourself better. You've written stories that matter. You've tried to improve every single time. And you can take advantage of those opportunities and actually be successful and achieve your goals. So I hope that this has been helpful, that you it's made you think a little bit, and that you start to use the formula to improve your writing. Thank you for being here. If you've liked this video, please share it with people that like to write like you do. Share it with friends, share it on social media. Like the video, and subscribe so that you can be notified next time that I have a video, which will be next Friday. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to having you join me again next week.